this might be more Secret Wars 2015 than it is the original Secret Wars.
Yeah,
this could be right. This is Doctor Strange submitting to Doom as a god, creating this world instead of this kind of like heroes versus villains thing, because a lot of the villains in the MCU are dead. Welcome back to the Break Room. In promoting his new film, The Thing with Feathers, Benedict Cumberbatch lets slip that Doctor Strange will not be in Doomsday, but he will be playing a central role in Secret Wars. What is that role gonna be? We're gonna get into it. I'm Evan, producer here at the Break Room. Today to talk Doctor Strange and the future of the MCU with me are Erik Voss and Gina Ippolito.
Hi.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Excited
you.
to get into this.
Yeah.
This is big news.
Yeah.
This is very big news.
Big enough news to bump our Harry Potter series off the docket.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to it for sure.
But we sent Potter packing.
yeah,
Guys,
Potter, pack it.
Straight to Azkaban for you, Potter.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's got to go to Azkaban
Yeah.
just because Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh boy. I mean, you got a wizard, you got a sorcerer. One of them's more powerful. Depends. D&D people, you all know. You'll figure it out. Before we get into it, also a reminder to check out nerdride.shop. We got some great merch coming out. We want the shirt for Captain America 4 that we've made is available now. Wingspan!
Oh, that's fun.
Wingspan with Sam Wilson there on the shirt. We also got a new Friendly Neighborhood inspired shirt. It's not on the site yet, but we wanted to tease it. It's coming out very soon. Love these series of sketches of his suit coming together. I'm sure it'll be available on other things too. Great designs, both of them. Go to nerdride.shop. Check out the merch.
Nice.
I got one of our Daredevils on right today.
Daredevil, Midtown High.
I got the
love
Midtown
it.
High.
Yeah.
The neighborhood
Yeah.
Spider-Man design.
Hell
I
yeah.
just
We
got
got a lot.
a
Got a lot of stuff.
And I got the X-Men 97 mug.
I love that
There we
mug.
go.
We are single-handedly keeping nerdride.shop open. Buy all of our purchases. We don't get a discount here, but you do.
We should do a, I think 10 people would come to this, but a physical pop-up store of nerdriot.shop.
I think people would like that.
Yeah.
Listen, I go to my local farmer's market every Sunday, and I'm very lazy, so I just put on whatever work T-shirt I have lying around.
Yeah.
I get complimented by the lady at the coffee booth every week about my T-shirts.
Oh, start as a booth, and then we'll open our way up to a little pop-up on Melrose, Fairfax.
Oh,
That's
the
right.
worst location to open a pop-up.
Yeah, it'll go out of business in 2 hours.
Yeah.
We would not be able to afford the rent.
No.
But I think you take it to Burbank, and all those nerds are all about it. You
Yeah.
take it to Comic Book Row in Burbank, and people will all be flocking to
True,
it.
yeah.
We could set up right outside that the Geeky Tees store.
Yeah.
Just set up right next to the TARDIS. You're good to go.
All right, we've got something going.
Yeah, we got it all in the works.
But setting aside our plans for merchandise domination, we got to talk about Doctor Strange news in a profile by Brett Lang for Variety. Benedict Cumberbatch teased some news about his upcoming Doctor Strange appearances. Jessica's
Look at that weirdo.
Yeah.
Look at that little
He took
cute-
some fun photos. He's having fun.
Oh,
you know?
little cutie weirdo.
He doesn't do anything with his eyes. He's like, I will have this cool expression on my face.
Somebody should Photoshop the smog dragon and doing the head in there.
Oh, yeah.
He just had a bunch of Fun Dip, and so his lips were blue, and he was like, don't look.
Oh, we're doing a photo shoot now after the Fun Dip.
But my morning Fun Dip.
Yeah, that's my routine as an actor. I wake up, just have some Fun Dip.
Maybe he's got some funky pit smells under that sweater, and he's just getting a whiff of it.
Oh, yeah, or he's like sniffing his Mando.
Oh, yeah, he's a Mando. Yeah, he's like, I still smell good after 72 hours. So like I said, Jessica's working on a video right now going into all the nitty gritty about whether or not he's going to appear in Doomsday. He said he's not, but maybe he's lying. So, there's a lot of questions there, but here in the break room, we want to look ahead. What does this mean for Secret Wars and also the confirmed Doctor Strange 3? In the interview, we can start there. He seemed to indicate that Doctor Strange 3 is a go. He said that they, being Marvel, are very open to discussing where we go next. Who do you want to write and direct the next one? What part of the comic lore do you want to explore so that Strange can keep evolving? He's a very rich character to play. He's a complex, contradictory, troubled human who's got these extraordinary abilities, this potent stuff to mess with. What do you guys think? Could we get a Doctor Strange 3 in between Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, or is a Doctor Strange 3 better set for after Secret Wars?
Does Secret Wars have an actual date yet, or is it just a
Yes.
general time frame?
So we actually have this. We'll revisit this later, but Secret Wars is going to be coming out May 7th, 2027. So it's 2 years from now.
You know what? I would wager because that is announced and has a time, and Doctor Strange 3 does not. I don't think we're gonna get Doctor Strange before we get that. I think they would have already slated it. They would have had to already have gone into like some sort of production on it, given how long post-production takes on those movies. I don't think we'll get it beforehand.
I think like the only way we could get it in between Doomsday and Secret Wars is if there is like secretly a script draft floating around out there that no one has really heard about.
That's true.
We know that there was probably a draft of Avengers Kang Dynasty that was written by Jeff Loveness, and maybe Mike Waldron might have done some input on that script. A lot of that script was scrapped, especially since Benedict Cumberbatch was going to be part of that story. So maybe they could have taken elements of that script, and maybe somewhere Michael Waldron is sitting down the street in the Disney Burbank lot with the whiteboards all around him, and he is drafting this script out. There's still time to do this.
I wish there was a nerdy t-shirt pop-up around here that I could go to.
Let's do it.
Just take the show on the road. Come on. Yeah. Just setting up on corners. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Eric. I wonder, because like the Fantastic Four actually came together pretty quick, all things considered, right? It seems like they're going to hit the date that they promised this year, July of this year, which is pretty wild. I feel like around this time last year, we were just talking about casting things, and the movie, for what is probably going to be a pretty fantastical, or at least like CGI heavy movie in some regards, is coming together. So it does feel like maybe they could pump something out of it. They just haven't been talking about it, you know?
It would just be something that like none of the scoopers right now have said anything. But there was a report not long ago, sometime in the past year and a half, about a Doctor Strange 3 that was in the works. And a lot of people were thinking this would be Doctor Strange Time Runs Out. If those plans were still in motion during all those times, since then, it's possible that there's some draft out there, or some treatment out there, some storyboard art out there that amounts to some pre-production for a third Doctor Strange film. We just know what the Russo's timeline is for Doomsday and Secret Wars. They said that they're going to start shooting Doomsday like late March or sometime in the spring of this year, and then it's going to come out like a year and some change after that. And they said that as opposed to Infinity War and Endgame, where they shot those back to back, and in some cases at the same time, there will be a longer gap period in between those productions. So we have to assume that production for Secret Wars will start sometime like if Doomsday production lasts from March to August, principal production before reshoots, Secret Wars may wait to start shooting until like January of 2026 or something like that, to give them like the holidays or something like that off. So if all they need to do to get like the ball rolling on a Doctor Strange 3 to get it out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars is to just make sure to spend the next few months writing the script so that you could start production in like around August or sometime in the summer. Start production for that in the summer. You could be able to get that out in one of those open release slate spots that you pointed out. Potentially.
Let's look at those spots again too.
Show us the spots.
Show us the spots.
The reason I like November 6, 2026 for this is that would be 10 years to the date of the first Doctor Strange film's release, which was in November, I don't know to the date, but to the month at least. November 2016 was the first Doctor Strange film. And if not Doctor Strange 3, what else is going to go there? Is it Blade? Is that where Blade goes?
Oh, I wish.
We were talking about, I mentioned before that, you know, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel, I think I said this on yesterday's show too, both being in release between Infinity War and Endgame didn't quite help either of those movies because the hype was so big after Infinity War. It felt weird to kind of like, why are we going back, right? And Spider-Man, I think, is the kind of the exception to this. But anything else that isn't like intricately tied to possibly what's going to be coming up feels weird. Like, I think a Blade movie would be dead on arrival. Like, people be excited, but I don't know if they're going to be... I think they'll be like, well, but we wanted him earlier.
I disagree. I think it's a smart move to do like a standalone movie, not that Spider-Man is totally standalone, but it does often feel separate from the larger MCU. I think if they did put something like Blade there, it would be like, hey, get hyped for this thing that's like maybe not going to play into the huge mythology. I think it might be smarter than that rather than be like, hey, look, here's 3 movies that are all going to be very intricately tied together.
Yeah, if they can get Blade out before Secret Wars, it in some ways could liberate Blade to be its own thing.
Yeah.
Because then you could establish, like maybe at the end of Fantastic Four this summer, we learn that, all these different Marvel Elseworlds exist.
Yeah.
And we could establish Blade as just kind of existing in its own continuity, not affected by the MCU 616 timeline, and can be its own awesome story. And then through the events of Battle World and Secret Wars, Mahershala's Blade could end up in the mix with all of our known Avengers and Marvel heroes and villains, and he could still live in whatever version 616 exists thereafter the events of Secret Wars. But now's the time. You can do any Blade story you want right now if you can just say it's in a different universe.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think I could see something like that happening. I want to highlight this thought from GSU Eagle. What if Marvel just does a special presentation to have us catch up with Strange and Clea leading up to Secret Wars? It's an interesting thought, right? A way to kind of like fast track some of that kind of at least like canonical, like what needs to happen creatively in order to set up their appearances. Or one of their appearances.
I think special presentations, I don't know if we're talking the same kind of budget that you would need for Benedict Cumberbatch and Charlize Theron. Like Gael Garcia Bernal, award-winning actor, but probably comes with less of a fee. James Gunn was able to shoot the Guardians holiday special as a special presentation because it was on the same set using the same actors, and he was currently shooting
short. It was short,
and it was short. And then he would rely on favors from friends like Kevin Bacon. So to get these huge A-listers in for a budget like that, it's not. I don't see it. And also you got to imagine if you're Marvel right now, if you're Bob Iger, they have a different approach to Disney Plus than Bob Chapek did. And I think the subscribership of Disney Plus is not as huge as that of Netflix. And if they're going to be working with Benedict Cumberbatch, even Cumberbatch's agent, I don't think Cumberbatch will want to do a Disney Plus title. He'll be like, if I'm going to do this, it's going to screen worldwide. In theaters.
I agree. Although I will say that with that Netflix news that came out yesterday about their huge growth and their subscriber numbers, coupled immediately by a story where they were like, now we're raising prices again. I think all of the other streamers are now having frantic meetings about what big draw can we have that will give us the kind of subscriber growth that, like, percentage-wise that Netflix has seen. I think that they're all probably scrambling. I don't think that's necessarily the way to do it. I do wish Marvel in general would do more of those special presentations because I've said it before, but Werewolf by Night, one of my favorite things that came out that year. I still, now it's like on my regular Halloween viewing list. Like come October, I'm like, Werewolf by Night, black and white and color, let's go. And same with like the holiday special. I watched it again this Christmas, still a delight.
Yeah, I think special presentations are great opportunities for like lower tier Marvel heroes and a way to introduce to the Marvel fan base someone, or just to the MCU fan base, not necessarily the A-tier actors and characters.
It's a Happy Hogan movie is what it is.
Werewolf by Night is kind of a lesser known character. And you could say, well, how does that apply to the Guardians of the Galaxy? Again, that was a special circumstance where James Gunn could just do that on a budget and get like big movie stars in it.
I think they could do it with something like Iron Fist if they like wanted to resurrect something that they were like, people sort of know about this, but like that was probably the most maligned of the Netflix MCU, but we kind of want to eventually bring in a Defenders show, and to do that, you maybe need. So, like, they could be like, let's do a special presentation of Iron Fist, the new or the old, depending on what you want to do with that franchise, but...
all right, so I guess let's look at these dates one more time. Best guesses then, final guesses, Doctor Strange 3. We feel in November 6th, 2026.
I've come around to Erik's way of thinking, and now I think, November 6th.
I think it's either November 2026 or November 2027. It doesn't strike, maybe they do that as like the July 23rd, 2027 thing, but I just feel like 2027, they're going to want to be all about Secret Wars, and if they can't really market this third Doctor Strange movie without spoiling things for Secret Wars, I think it would just be kind of weird. Like, I'd be surprised.
It's hard to know what they'd squeeze in before Doomsday, though, too. Whatever that February slot is going to be, that's an interesting slot, too.
It's an interesting slot. I think we're running out of time, really,
Yeah.
right? Because they're gonna start Doomsday production in like a few months.
Yeah.
Couple
This
months.
is how you use the time stone.
I think Blade is the only project that might be far enough along to finish, to wrap by then. But we're really
Depending.
talking about like they got to figure out a lot of stuff fast. We got to have a new draft ready to shoot like in 2 weeks.
I want them to throw a curveball at us. I want them to be like, hey, everyone forgot about this character that was in one issue of one comic in 1976. We're giving him his own movie. And then everyone's like, who's this guy?
I think if anything is coming out in that July 2027 thing, here's a good opportunity to just have your first post-Secret Wars event movie. And if they really want to dominate the summer, they can make that like an X-Men, Avengers
Yeah,
versus
I
X-Men
mean,
thing
I
or
was going to
something.
say, like, summer movies are a totally different beast. They're going to want to make that as mass appeal as possible.
Yeah.
So to me, like, I think people love Doctor Strange, but I don't think it has the summer blockbuster appeal at this point.
Yeah, good point.
That something like an X-Men would.
Yeah, I think if Marvel will not release 2 Avengers movies in the same calendar year, so I don't think it would be Avengers versus X-Men. But also, let's remember that July slot was where Deadpool and Wolverine released.
Yeah.
That could be where a Thor 5 releases if they are serious about moving forward with another Thor movie, a Thor versus Hercules movie, or it could be like another Deadpool. Like they are, I think they are eager to do another Deadpool.
Deadpool and Gambit.
Yeah, right? Or Deadpool, Wolverine, and Gambit. Like, you just build that team out. And
Deadpool versus Baldoni.
Ooh.
What? We're not even allowed to joke about it.
No, please joke.
That's
but I'm
funny.
like,
No,
that's too good.
It was so
too good of a movie.
I was like, yeah, I mean,
Baldoni, it's a smart move. It is the smart move. Get that Marvel money, Baldoni.
It's the one way to redeem everything.
What if, like, part of his legal settlement is, like, I get to be in a movie now?
2 kind of quick comments about the February slot before we move on to talk about Secret Wars. Ryan Anderson saying, could that February slot be a Black Panther 3? And I Am Iron Man 10 saying, could that be a Cap 5?
Ooh. So Black Panther released in the February-March window. The first Black Panther
one.
did. It was February.
Yeah.
And then the second one released in November after a delay. So yeah, I think Black Panther 3 could also be that summer release. Like those would be summer movies.
I think they got to do something to get these hype levels back up for all of these characters that we haven't seen in so long.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. I think including Doctor Strange, I think having a major movie and bringing them in like little cameo sections ups that hype level versus like, hey, we haven't seen some of these characters in like 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, like people sort of have forgotten. It doesn't have the same love that it did in like phase 1, for instance.
Can we bring up the dates again? I want to
keep
try.
going back.
I want to try to lock it in.
I mean, February 13th, like that is literally a year and a month from now. And
That's gonna be a love
no
story.
idea. Yeah.
They'll either like dissolve that date and give it up to something else that Disney's making, or keep it up. Okay. So here's my pitch. Marvel, if you want to make several $1 billion, this is what you do. You make sure, at all costs, shoot a Blade movie as soon as possible and get that out February 13th, 2026. So that's Blade. That first announced Blade. Then you got Doomsday, May 2026, July 2026, Spider-Man 4, November 2026, get that Doctor Strange time runs out movie made, baby.
Get
and then
that
May
Strange.
2027, Secret Wars, July 2027, make that your first like post-Secret Wars Deadpool movie that can bring in more pieces of the X-Men multiverse in
And
there.
then November 5th?
Black Panther 3.
Oh, I was going to say November 5th, then a full-blown X-Men movie after you've you peppered them in.
If you really want to win 2027, yes, but I think they're going to save that tentpole for 2028.
Yeah.
None of us
X-Men
are going to
2028.
be alive in 2028. Give it to us now.
But we have to watch Avatar 4. Right? Isn't that coming 2028?
The Avatar of the movies are the only reason I hold on.
Yeah.
I think that
We're all just still surviving for that.
I think, I mean, Blade is the only movie that makes sense to be in that February slot, and that still seems so risky to say. Yeah. I think, like, you could see a quote-unquote, like, low-budget version. Like, I mean, this is my dream. This would be so funny. My dream is just Benedict Cumberbatch, Charlize Theron. It's, like, Clea and Doctor Strange locked in a house. It's just a drama. They're stuck and they're trying to figure out how to get out. It's one location.
It's M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, knock at the cabin.
Oh man, but yeah, I think it's so interesting to see. Really hope we get Doctor Strange 3 confirmed as we kind of head into the Avengers movies returning. Before we get into Secret Wars, we also wanted to thank Helix Sleep for sponsoring the Breakroom today. Helix is running an awesome sale right now for a limited time only, so it's the perfect time to upgrade your mattress. You can visit helixsleep.com for more information, or you can listen to me say it right now. Helix offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections, Helix Plus for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress. You know they have their sleep quiz that pairs you with the perfect mattress for perfect firmness and temperature for you. They have financing options and flexible payment plans so you can get your mattress ASAP. They have a 100-night sleep trial so you can get more than 3 months to make sure that you love the mattress that you get, to make sure it's the perfect one for you. Plus, every mattress has a 10-year warranty. It delivers right to your door with free shipping in the US, and the mattress comes rolled up in a box, super easy to set up. I love the Helix mattress that I have. I also love the weighted blanket from Helix. I use it every night. If you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. The New Year's sale is running now for a limited time, and it's a great time to upgrade your mattress. Visit helixsleep.com to get 25% off your mattress plus 2 free pillows. Thank you, Helix Sleep, for sponsoring today's episode of The Breakroom. All right, let's get into the Secret Wars of it all. The Russos said they were energized to return to Marvel when Marcus McFeely was like, I know how Secret Wars comic arc might work in the MCU. And with Cumberbatch saying that he might not be, he's like, I'm not in Doomsday, but I'm going to be in a lot of Secret Wars, got me thinking, this might be more Secret Wars 2015 than it is the original Secret Wars.
Yeah,
this could be right. This is Doctor Strange submitting to Doom as a god, creating this world instead of this kind of like heroes versus villains thing, because a lot of the villains in the MCU are dead. It could be this, hey, Doomsday, right? Doom takes over. He wins. At the end of Doomsday, we see this new world that he's built. We see Doctor Strange as his right-hand man, kind of, making sure things go smoothly. And he's going to be fighting whoever the team ends up being that has to challenge Doom in the new battle world.
I like this also because I do think that a lot of the villains are dead. A lot of the heroes are now morally gray. Like Wanda is full on morally gray.
Great point.
Doctor Strange, when it ended, it was like, is this guy gonna kill another world? Like, we don't know. He's messing around with things he shouldn't be. So I think that is the best opportunity to not have it be like bad guys versus good guys, but like, oh crap, or like what version of which person are we going to see?
Allows for more cameos and stuff too in certain aspects. Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see like a bad Captain America or something, or like a morally gray Captain America just for a couple scenes?
Reportedly, Benedict Cumberbatch in this article, like when he saw the announcement that Robert Downey Jr. was coming back to play Doctor Doom, he like texted Kevin Feige like, "What the fuck?" And he said it was like a good version of that. But I think that just spent my mind spiraling because I was like, oh, maybe in Waldron's draft or Loveness's draft of Avengers Kang Dynasty, like part of that, is going to be a fight against Kang and the full Council of Kangs. Like maybe that movie was going to end with like Doctor Strange kind of like taking on the role of Doctor Doom in the Time Runs Out storyline.
Yes.
So when he saw that announcement, he's like, wait, well then what does that mean for Doctor Strange then, based off of what I thought the project? He probably assumed that the project was going to change in some way, but he's like, I don't know what Doctor Strange's role now is going to be if we're now just going to let Doom take on the Doom role from Time Runs Out. That's the way I read the like that kind of whiplash, because if you were him, like he'd be like, great, now I get to like the movie I'm in, it's going to make way more money, and my agent who probably negotiated a point on the back end, that means like way more money. So like I have to wonder like what his plot role was in that earlier draft of the Kang Dynasty script. If there was some kind of Doom quality to it, Doctor Doom quality to it, and that could be why he felt that way. So like this shift now makes that I think the reason he brought up Doctor Strange 3 in this same quote is like, the answer to that question was them saying, we're going to move up production for Doctor Strange 3 now. So you can still have a different story or parts of that story in another movie that you can, get that story completely told in.
Interesting. Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, also like Feige's like, hey, you kind of got to do it in What If, man.
I mean, is episode 4 of the first season of What If the best Doctor Strange story we have seen produced by Marvel Studios?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Even though I really don't like his voice acting when he just goes, Christy. I really don't like it.
Very Phantom of the Opera.
He probably did like 100 takes of that, and that's what the sound guy was like, let's use this weird one.
Yeah.
Go with the weird one.
Yeah, I think like I liked both of the Doctor Strange movies, but I think what a lot of people going to those movies felt is that it was missing some aspect of what Doctor Strange does in the comics.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is the guy who just keeps pushing the limits. You know, that's what I got from Doctor Strange comics is like he just keeps going higher and higher tiers.
I mean, I think that quote about what, how he assesses the character is very true, and I think that could lead into a lot of this kind of like morally gray stuff that could happen in Secret Wars. Like someone who is just like, I had to go with the best plan. And the best plan is to be with this guy who I know is not a good guy, but he can do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's this great, in the Secret Wars 2015, there's this great series of panels where we get Doom explaining to Molehuman and Doom rehashing what happened. This is Stephen Strange joining them kind of right before they fight the Beyonders and they blow up Molecule Man. The second one where this great line in the corner where Stephen Strange is like, it's too much for me. I can't. You have to do it. He gives up the choice to run the world to Doom because he knows he can't make the decision.
Yeah.
And I think, and when I was reading that, spoilers, sorry, but when I was reading it, I was like, this is so impactful because I hadn't read the lead up comics, and I was like, this is just like, man, it's awesome to see how they got here, and it felt all like within character and everything too.
Yeah.
I'm curious how it's all going to play out. We had a question about Wanda, incorporating Wanda in Doomsday. What do you guys think? If we do get an incorporation of characters or new versions of characters, do you think that they would try to go more comic specific, or do you think they're more like sliding doors moments in the MCU? More like a Doomsday could be a live action What If, so to speak, right?
That's a good question.
So is the question like, would we bring in a new actress to play
No,
Wanda?
I think like how would you bring in Wanda, but like change the backstory or anything for movie-going audiences, right?
I mean, the thing about Wanda is that like because the X-Men were separate from the larger MCU for so long, her whole backstory of being Magneto's daughter and like that was all jettisoned and never mentioned. They like weren't allowed to mention it. Whereas now they are. So I think if there is an alt universe version that we see, it has to be tied into this is her parental lineage. Okay. I think that's what a lot of the fans like want to see, like the X-Men MCU fans, which I realize sometimes they're different than them. But like that's what I would want to see. More like, the MCU comics have so many ties to X-Men. That like I want to see them peppering in the X-Men now that they like fully own them, and I think that they've been a little too afraid to go all in. Yeah. Because if they screw it up, then they're like, well, we don't want to screw up the reintroduction of the X-Men now that it's all on Disney Plus. But I think if they start peppering them in, like they did in Doctor Strange 2, where we saw Patrick Stewart, I would love to see something like that, where she starts just referencing her father or referencing her parents. Yeah, that's what I would love.
I think what's most important to me, if they do make any changes to Wanda's backstory compared to the MCU version of her, is to just use the word mutant. For her to formally codify her as a mutant and not be afraid of that status. I think is really like if we're gonna have Wanda come back in some form, it doesn't have to be from a specific House of M, alternate reality or anything like that. But let's let her be one of the mutants. Yeah. And I'm not as particular about her being specifically Magneto's daughter because that is something that kind of warps over time in the comics. But like, just let her be a mutant. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, some tie into like X-Men and mutants. Also, if you're gonna show us like multiple different worlds, make one of those worlds a fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. world. Let's just get a little peek in there. Just give me what I want. I'm thirsty in the desert here.
That's true. I mean, if he is taking parts of different worlds, I think there definitely could be an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. corner,
Listen, the cheer in that theater would be so loud.
Yeah. I think person cheering.
Yeah. It'll be me. I'm going to every screening and going, woohoo!
You're doing the Will Arnett from I Think You Should Leave, like following me around, being like screaming in the corner, being
The super chat question was also asking about like the Romani backstory of Doctor Doom, and I think that has been some of the criticism of casting Robert Downey Jr. in this role. I mean, clearly, I think Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige's, Bob Iger's perspective is like, let's just get the biggest freaking name we could think of and put him in this role.
Yeah.
I think they are also. I mean, the theory I pitched in a lot of videos is that they are like trying to create a Fantastic Four universe that best reflects like the Silver Age, 1961 to 1963 era of Marvel Comics. And at that point, I don't know if Doctor Doom was as like, I don't know if a lot of comic readers knew what it meant to be Romani. And that later on became a very important part of Doctor Doom's backstory. But he's a Latvian. You know, Latvian is a fictional country. And I understand that it is based on a lot of Eastern European countries. But to like insist that only a Romani actor can play Doctor Doom is like saying T'Challa can only be played by like a Ugandan actor because that's the nearest country. If that's your stance, I'm not really going to get into it with you because I feel like there's no way to win that kind of argument on Twitter.
It's hard.
But just understand this is a big business and they're trying to make billion-dollar movies, and I don't like. It was really cool in Nosferatu to see a lot of Romani actors featured in that scene.
Cool.
But are any of them like people who the MCU will cast as Doctor Doom?
Yeah. I don't know enough about this to really speak on it. So I don't want to go one way or another. I do think ultimately at the end of the day they're trying to make the most money. Like that's that's what it is. Like I think that's what it is. They're trying to make the most money and like the most guarantees for their shareholders that they will in the future make the most money. And like I said about the Netflix thing, I think they're trying to think like, what will bring in the most subscribers if we drop this a few months later on Disney Plus? So they're, for the time being, that's the way our world works for the time being.
Yeah, I would just say don't expect Disney to be the solutions to this. Disney is a major corporation. There's a lot of other studios who are trying to do good work here.
Yeah.
Disney's just trying to sell Happy Meals and get people into their parks. They're like, you know, they're trying to capitalistically profit off of happiness and to bottle happiness into a Happy Meal box. These are the people you think who are going to make the world a better place? No, they're trying to make happiness something you can syringe into your veins.
I want it.
I want it. All right, I want to get into some questions about cameos and certain characters. Timar had sent in a super chat earlier. Thank you, Timar. Doomsday shouldn't be overstuffed with characters. What do you think? Do you think either of those movies, Secret Wars or Doomsday, will be a bigger cameo fest than the other? Or will one of them be a little bit more focused in a certain way?
It's a good question. Listen, I'm always of the mindset, like, I love a good cameo. I think if the script isn't good, it's not good. And no amount of cameos is going to make me be like I'll cheer during the cameo, but then afterwards, you know, it's like eating fast food and you're like, well, I kind of feel a little crappy. I'm kidding. Fast food is delicious. But like, if the script is good, there could be 90 cameos in there, and I wouldn't like I don't think it detracts from it. So to me, it's not. There are no hard and fast rules with like, oh, fewer than 10 cameos, it's okay, but more than 10. I think it's like, if the script is written well, you can stuff as many cameos in there as you want. Like I think we all saw Endgame and we're like, more, give me more, you know, like who else is coming through those holes?
Yeah, even before Endgame, which Endgame was trying to be like the payoff to all the Marvel films. Infinity War was a huge scale of a movie that had like 4 different Marvel franchises combining into one, and it felt like it serviced the Avengers and Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor and his side of the universe just as well as each other.
Because it was a good script, well directed. That's the. I think when people are like, too many cameos, it ultimately is speaking to an underlying issue.
Yes, agreed.
I mean, that first 45 minutes of Infinity War, man, like the hairs raising up on Peter Parker, like how that whole sequence is orchestrated across. Oh my God, it's
so good. I'm like getting goosebumps now, thinking about like I went to see it in the theater alone because that was like the type of movie that I was like, I'm gonna go see it alone. So if I cry, I'm crying by myself.
Yeah,
if I cheer, I'm cheering by myself. But like, it was packed, and I don't think anyone left there being like, that was a good movie, but there was one too many cameos.
I think structurally, just approach it the same way. It's gonna be the same writers, the same directors. They're gonna approach it the same way they did Infinity War. They're gonna gravitate, instead of Thanos, they're gonna gravitate around Doom, and Doom is gonna be on some dogmatic mission, and then all the Marvel heroes are gonna try to stop him, and they're gonna fail. And like it worked in Infinity War. I think Infinity War was a complete success. And I kind of like movies that have, it seemed like they have everyone in Hollywood in them. Like Oppenheimer was such an event, and Oppenheimer had a ton of people in it. It had like 25 A-listers in it.
Same with everyone in Barbie. Every Barbie in Barbie. It's like, I know that. I know her. I know her.
It's kind of fun to go see movies like that where like everyone's here and everyone in Hollywood wants to be in this. And like they have to kind of do that to make it feel like it's upping the ante from Endgame.
I mean, do you guys think that they would do a third of they're hiding a third event movie that like caps off Secret Wars? Like Secret Wars isn't the end. Like that there's one more, and that's Avengers.
A trilogy?
That's Avengers versus X-Men or something.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I would love it.
If they really want to make the big bucks, they can do
that. They're like, well, actually, guys, we got one more.
The only thing that makes me think
they're gonna do one.
There's arguments that could go either way because we heard these reports of these huge paydays for Robert Downey Jr. And for the Russo brothers, and $80 million for Downey across like 2 movies and then maybe a post-credit scene and Fantastic Four First Steps seems like a lot of money, but also the kind of scale that makes sense for Robert Downey Jr. He got a ton of money for Avengers Endgame. And his agents, his team, probably negotiated, $50 million a pop for these next 2. Now, to say that there's a third one in there that he is a part of, I think he would have to not be a part of it because I don't think he would split up $80 million across like 3 movies in a post-credit scene. That would be less than what he got for Endgame.
Also, this is like, I'm not going to speak to whether or not that's like the money you should be paying him, but like this is like when someone signs on for these movies, this is years of their lives. Like from the beginning stages of talking to all the way through like shooting, post-production, coming back in, having to ADR stuff, and then the press tour, which they are contractually obligated to do. It's all included in there. So it's not, I think like when that dropped, it was a bit of sensationalism of like, look how much he's getting paid for this movie. But it's all encompassing. And again, I'm not saying like people in Hollywood are paid like equitably all across the board. I'm just saying it's not like a one and done. It's like he's committed to interviews and press and this and late night show appearances and going back in the booth and reshoots and blah, blah, blah. Also, dude probably doesn't eat bread for those 2 years because he's got to maintain some sort of abs.
And that movie arguably makes $250 million more just because Robert Downey Jr.'s in it.
I mean,
each of those movies do. Like these movies are already going to be close to $1 billion. Him being in them guarantees it.
I can't wait for a Happy Meal toy to spoil something in the movie.
And I do want to give a shout out. Brett Lang wrote this Hollywood Reporter article and breaks all kind, or not Hollywood, it's Variety, right?
Variety,
an amazing writer for Variety, doing amazing reporting. And I believe Tatiana Siegel is the one who broke the stories for how much Downey got paid and broke the story about like the Palm Springs retreat from that November 2023 story that like we keep going back to. Some amazing writing needs being done by these journalists, so let's make sure to name them.
Shout out,
right. Get your books.
Speaking of shout outs, want to shout out some people who have been sending in some subs on Twitch. Your boy Jay, Ryan Painter with 5 gift subs, Powerful Primate resubbing, Darth Baloney, I'm Crazy 603 resubbing and sending out 10 gift subs. Thank you so much. And Savvy389, thank you for resubbing. We also got a super chat in here from YouTube. Nav asking, do you guys think Doctor Strange could be the one to remember the Doomsday and Secret Wars events post-reboot? That's interesting. I think that's a very easy yes for me, but I think the real question is how often are they going to refer to that time period? And I think not at all, because I think they want to move on from a lot of this stuff, you know?
See, what I hope is that we have some relics of the older era, like Doctor Strange seems like a good candidate to be like the mental librarian of the past 616 Infinity Saga. I want there to be a new Illuminati formed in the 616 after the reboot of people who represent different universes. And you could have a Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier, who can be that for the Fox timeline, or like a Wolverine who does that for the Fox timeline. and then others for other universes.
Hell yeah.
Ryan Painter asking, do you think in a recent Blood Hunt comic run, Doctor Doom becomes Sorcerer Supreme? Do you think that anything like this could happen in Doomsday or Secret Wars? I think it would be a little bit of a stretch to be like he's Sorcerer Supreme, but he could also just call himself that if he makes his own world. He's like, yeah, Doctor Strange, you don't need it anymore. You're just my guy.
Do we think there's gonna be any payoff to like the fact that like because Doctor Strange blipped, Wong became Sorcerer Supreme? Is this just like a little petty thing that Doctor Strange carves out for himself? I'm gonna be Sorcerer Supreme.
I could picture Wong like sort of like using it, like holding it over his head a little bit in his Wong way, like being like, I'm sorry, who's Sorcerer Supreme?
Yeah.
He does that kind of acting very well.
Yeah. Ultimate Jack Attack saying Wong could remember as well. Yeah, I think that's also a good point because just based on the title of where he's at. Chris Dash sending in a super chat. Do we think Doom could use Vision like Mysterio? Like in What If, right? Mysterio just reprogrammed Vision. Yeah, I think that there's definitely an argument to be made for that, especially we don't know when the Vision Quest show will come out, the White Vision series. Bad name. We don't know when that Vision series will come out. That will be interesting to see how it's released in relation to the big movies. But I think it's certainly in the cards, especially because in the original Secret Wars, Doom is messing around with Ultron a lot. That could be a nice little nod to that kind of thing in the comics. Morningstar saying in Super Chat, Doom and Spidey reunion will heat so hard. I've never heard the phrase heat so hard, but I'm inclined to agree. Because that is the first thing I thought about about him returning, is that is a moment that, however it's done, is going to be really interesting.
That's the $1 billion moment. I feel like the Tom Holland, Robert Downey Jr. What are they going to say to each other?
Yes.
What is it gonna? What's the line?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
I think it's just "Hello, Peter" or something simple, like Peter for the first time has someone who recognizes him, and it's kind of like instead of like Doc Ock saying it.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
Or Underoos, something he says something with Underoos.
Oh yeah, something. Yeah, I like that a lot. Oh man, yeah, And when it's going to happen, like in the heat of battle, if not, oh God, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Mr. Stark, I'm cold.
Yeah. Also, though, the Spider-Man movie coming out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, though, is really interesting, right? Like, that kind of throws a wrench into the kind of plan, right? If Doomsday ends with this world reset, when's Spider-Man 4 going to take place, right?
Yeah,
timeline-wise.
That's true.
And does that guarantee that Spider-Man 4 ends in a post-credit scene where Doom shows up? Does that moment happen there? Does Feige give that moment to Sony for its release? I don't think he does. Yeah. I think he's saving that for
unless
Doomsday or Secret Wars.
Doomsday, he already has the black suit. Spider-Man 4 explains how he got the black suit.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be a pretty direct path, right? I believe Tom Holland said in an interview when he was plugging Bureau, like, I got the call. Like, he knew before the Downey announcement came. So it's like, why would you call Tom Holland, the notorious spoiler? Yeah. Why would you tell him this thing before the Comic-Con announcement? Benedict Cumberbatch didn't know. He texted Feige. What the hell? So I feel like Tom Holland, like, it must mean that whatever plot there were, he's a producer on Spider-Man 4. He's part of these conversations around the script. It must have to do with him. Like, Doom is going to show up somewhere in that movie.
It was like, hey, can you plan your engagement for about 3 months from when we make this big announcement? We don't want you stealing our Doom thunder. And he was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'll wait. All right, I want to run through some characters people have been asking about just to see if they would appear in Doomsday, Secret Wars, or both. All right, here we go. Shang-Chi.
Secret Wars. I would say Doomsday, but I think if Benedict Cumberbatch got scrapped from the Destin Daniel Cretton Kang Dynasty, then Shang-Chi might have as well.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yeah. Shang-Chi and Doomsday, or in Secret Wars, it's just like, listen, I don't know what's going on with the world here, but I think it's got something to do with these rings.
It's like, that took you 7 years to figure out? Good job.
I've been valeting cars this whole time. Gotta make a living in SF. Do we get Moon Knight? Either these movies or both?
I don't think so, but I hope so.
I know.
I don't think we're gonna get Moon Knight.
It's just so much harder to see like how he fits in with.
I know, and it's also like it is more of a niche show than like I think that there are diehard MCU fans like we are who watch everything, and then there are ones who only go to the movies.
Yes,
I remember seeing a chart of like Disney Plus Marvel shows viewing stats, and Moon Knight was up there. Like Moon Knight was up there with The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like I think though after Loki, those are the highest watched shows.
I mean, it's
for
one
Marvel.
of the best shows, so it should be one of the highest watched shows.
And Oscar Isaac, major movie star. You could see, I mean, he was the star of the Star Wars films. Like, you could see him. It's just, he makes more sense in a Kang Dynasty story just because, like, there's a whole Pharaoh Ramatut of it all.
Yeah.
Like, there is, like,
that
and there's a
link is
pretty
little
good
bit
Moon
clear.
Knight Kang storyline that I really thought was going to factor in to the Kang Dynasty. I'm less familiar with what Moon Knight's relationship is with Doom.
Yeah.
He's gonna drive up in his worst alter ego in a taxi and tell Spider-Man like, "Get in, kid," and then like that's his only cameo. And
somehow Mark Spector returned.
I mean, it's like the last shot of Moon Knight is him like turning around wearing that cabbie's hat, and it's like, hey. Get in, kid.
Get in, kid.
I'll drive you to the battle.
Oh God. Any of the Eternals?
Ugh. Again, I wish I do. I'm an Eternals defender, but I wish, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think Eternals with Nate Moore leaving is dead. I think Tiamat is going to be the last vestige of the Eternals we see. We'll see Celestials again.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're ever going to answer that question.
Wow.
Or I mean, I also do think that like Eternals is one of those titles that you could very easily bring back and reboot, and that because these are created creatures. So you just create them in a different image. Like you could bring back different actors and reboot it. But I think the Eternals, as we've seen them so far, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, both movies? One movie?
I think she'll show up in at least one.
Yeah, maybe as a cameo in Secret Wars.
Yeah, a cameo.
Maybe as a cameo in Doomsday. I think both those movies would be elevated by having her in them, just as like a sense of scale to be able to team her up with Peter Parker would be really fun.
Yeah, I could see her I could see her sort of holding down like the local fort, like local, like not going into the big fight fray. Kind of similar to how they introduced like Spidey as sort of just like okay, he's not going into like the big battle, but he's helping us.
Yeah,
I could see that. I could see her doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Kate Bishop?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I think she's in a similar grouping. I think as Kamala Khan, I think if we see them again, it'll be like in some kind of Young Avengers project on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know. Again, I don't know how many people watched Hawkeye. I enjoyed it. I just don't. I think that. Yeah,
it's tough to know, right? Especially since we had a year without Marvel movies, it's tough to know who really makes the jump, right? From TV to movie. We had Miss Marvel and we had Yelena do the opposite. She went from movies to TV. Now she's gonna go back to movies.
Yeah.
I will say, I could see a world where we do see a cameo from all of these people, where it's the very classic news is breaking on the TV, and they cut to people in their homes watching the TV. You get a couple of randos, then it's Kamala Khan, then it's Kate Bishop watching on the TV, being like, what? And that's it. It's just them in their homes watching the news of this crazy event happening.
Yeah, or they're just part of, they're in charge of one of the domains in Battle World. Yeah. There's a specific corner of Battle World where it's just Jersey, and Jersey's been sectioned off Jersey City.
It's the best part. The best station of Battle World.
Or what's it? The Nor Dimension is its own kind of kingdom within Battle World, and Kamala Khan is there with all other kind of cosmically powered, Maria Rambeau and Captain Marvel. So the Marvels are kind of lording over that. Or you have an archery favored dimension. Because that's what's really cool about the Battle World is they have these different kind of terrains that benefit certain types of powers and abilities. So that's how you get everyone in one movie.
Yeah, that's
true. yeah, you could kind of group people by different power sets.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I hope we get a shot of just the younger cast of the Avengers just chilling on a cruise.
Yeah. Or they're like,
Just there, just sitting at the table with their phones. Yeah.
So how'd you get involved in all this? The image goes away. All right, as we start to wind down here, let's go through some of our final questions, some final super chats. C Black saying, I think Tony Stark is a variant of Doom. Stark only exists in the sacred timeline. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's one of the things we pitched after the Robert Downey Jr. announcement came out, that he's a variant. Yeah. We'll see. In order for that to be the case, like, you're gonna have to come up, and I did in one of these videos, come up with a pretty ambitious storyline of how, like, Stark was left and, like, abandoned. Like, there's a World War II storyline where Tony Stark was born earlier and he joined his father to impress Howard Stark. He, like, joined the effort in World War II and got left behind enemy lines on the Eastern Front, and then got adopted by a family of the Von Dooms in Latveria, and then he changed his name to Anthony Von Doom or something like that. It's pretty ambitious, and he could grow up to be like a rival to Reed Richards in Empire State University.
I think Howard Stark could have boned a Latvian lady, and she had a little Tony.
Yeah, I mean, Geek Widow is saying that as a super chat right now. RDJ's Dr. Doom is Tony's illegitimate half brother. Could then have all the mom and Latvian connections, but look just like Tony. Yeah, I think that there's definitely a plausible thing there.
He looks just like Tony Stark, just about 6 years older.
Yeah, it's all of this is possible. You just have to imagine, like, bringing your cousin to see Avengers Doomsday, and if that's what they say, like, in the movie, like, your cousin's gonna be like, what? Like,
fuck that cousin.
Yeah.
Eric, you might have the super chats up on your phone. Do you have the next one after that? My computer's freezing up.
I see Darth Blackson says, I'm just trying to say what's up, Gina. Hey, Darth. And then Garrett Bridges says, I think I may have a couple accounts, but I've been a subscriber since our early quarantine days during the pandemic. Love you guys. Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you so much.
And that's all the ones I've seen.
All right, and then I guess final question here then. If, Doomsday, we get this kind of new battle world, this melding of places. Ryan Painter asking, are there any villains you would like to see in Doomsday? Any people to come back? It'd be great to see Doc Ock come back. Alfred Molina come back one more time. That'd be so wild.
Green Goblin. Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Fun.
I mean, most of the Spider-Man guys.
Yeah.
Brian Cox, William Stryker.
Oh God, that would be so good.
God.
I mean, Ian McKellen, Magneto. If we're really expanding out,
Pie,
to the
Pie in the Sky. Yeah.
I mean, could they get James Spader Ultron back one more time? They said,
he's definitely coming back for Vision Quest.
Yeah.
He's on the cast list somewhere.
Just sign the paperwork one more time for the movie.
Trying to think who else from the MCU. I mean, the MCU, Loki, if you consider him a villain anymore, let's get him in there.
I mean, Hela would be cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Hela would be cool too.
Because she's just so cocky and so powerful. So if she was like immediately taken out, it would be a pretty badass way to show.
I remember Kristen Unpronounceable was also asking, do you think we see the Thor Corps, the kind of like Thor police force that Doom assembles?
Oh yeah.
That would be so fun.
I really hope they do.
Yeah.
Because that is one of the more fun parts, is how the Thors are the cops, the sheriffs.
And they all have their little pledge they gotta do. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, let us know what you think is going to happen in Secret Wars, in Doomsday, Doctor Strange 3, if you think it'll happen at all, and where it might happen. You saw all those dates we pulled up. We pulled them up multiple times. Get your predictions and comments of those dates in the YouTube comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Jessica's video about the article as well, and how Doctor Strange releases Doomsday tomorrow on the new Rockstars channel. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Gina, for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to the Breakroom wherever you get your content. And we'll catch you later. See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.